The cold wind howled like a dying beast. Jacob pulled his thermal blanket tighter. Sitting alone inside his small survival shelter on the ice planet Eroxanine. Outside, the world was nothing but snow, sharp ice spikes, and a deadly silence. His mission was simple: survive 10 days alone, no contact, no rescue. Just man versus nature. He had lasted 3 days so far. He took a deep breath, watching his breath fog the inside of his helmet. The temperature was dropping fast, and night on this planet lasted 15 hours. Even with heat generators, things could go wrong. One glitch, and you freeze to death in minutes. Suddenly, his motion sensor beeped. Jacob froze. Nothing should be moving. Out there, nothing survives this cold, not without shelter, gear, or body heat. He checked the screen. A figure, just outside. Very close. He grabbed his flashlight and slowly opened the outer flap. Cold air stabbed into his face. He raised the light, and his heart nearly stopped. A woman. She was lying face down in the snow, her body barely moving. She wasn't human. Her skin was a soft bluish purple, glowing faintly under the light. Her hair, long and silver, blew in. The wind like threads of ice. She wore no clothes, nothing. Just bare skin against the snow. She should have been dead. Jacob ran to her. His brain screamed trap. But something stronger inside pulled him forward. She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes bright violet met his and she spoke. If you protect me from the cold," she whispered, voice broken and weak, "I will reward you, human." Jacob blinked. She spoke perfect English. This made no sense. "Who are you?" he asked, kneeling beside her. She shivered hard, her body shaking. "Please, I escaped. I can't survive the night. Let me in." He hesitated. Was she dangerous? Was she bait? Then she lost consciousness. He didn't think anymore. Jacob carried her inside, arms shaking not from the cold, but from fear. And something else. Her skin was warm, not cold like he expected. In fact, it felt hot. Inside the shelter, he laid her gently on the ground near the heat vent. The inside was small, barely enough for one person. Now it had two. She curled up, breathing slow and deep. Her body steamed as it adjusted to the heat. Her smooth skin shimmered like starlight. Jacob looked away, trying to stay respectful. But it was hard. Very hard. He wrapped her in his backup thermal blanket. After 10 minutes, her eyes opened again. "You didn't run," she whispered. "You didn't give me a reason to," he replied. She smiled softly. "Most humans fear us. I'm not like them. I'm different." Jacob poured her a small cup of water. She drank it slowly. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "Alira." "I'm Jacob." Alira sat up weakly, pulling the blanket around herself. "They were hunting me, my own people. I escaped. But I had nowhere to go. Then I saw your light." Jacob narrowed his eyes. "Why were they hunting you?" She paused. "Because I refused to be owned." His breath caught. He didn't know what that meant, but the look in her eyes said it was dark, heavy. The shelter's heater hummed quietly. Outside, the storm began to howl louder. Snow hit the shelter walls like claws. Jacob checked the energy levels, half power. They'd both have to survive in this small space until morning. Or longer. Suddenly, Alira shifted closer. He tencd. She whispered. "Your warmth saved me. Now I will share mine." "You don't understand yet, but you will," he blinked. "What does that mean?" Alira smiled again, but this time, it wasn't soft. It was mysterious, almost dangerous. She touched his hand gently. Her fingers burned like fire. "I'm not cold-blooded," she said. "But my species, we control heat, and when we bond with someone, we keep them warm, forever." Jacob pulled his hand back. His heart pounded. This was getting strange. Fast. Alira lowered her head, eyes glowing faintly now. But there's a cost. And tomorrow they'll come for me. If you stay, you'll be hunted too. Jacob looked at her, at the beautiful alien woman in his arms, at the frozen death waiting just outside the walls. And he had to ask himself, was it already too late to walk away? The shelter was warm, but Jacob was sweating, not from heat. From fear. Alira was watching him while he slept. Her violet eyes glowed softly in the darkness, reflecting the tiny blinking light of the heater. She didn't blink, didn't move, just stared, like she didn't need rest. Like something inside her was waiting. He slowly sat up, trying not to wake her, but she whispered, "Don't pretend. I don't sleep, not like humans." Jacob froze. "What, are you really?" he asked, voice low. She looked away, pulling the thermal blanket tighter around her. "I told you, I was owned, locked in a heat chamber. Until I escaped. My people call me Corburn. I am one of the few who can burn from within." Jacob tried to make sense of it. "So, you generate heat?" She looked at him. "I am heat." Before he could respond, the shelter lights flickered. Beep dash beep dash beep. Power warning. Jacob swore. The heater's core was draining faster than normal. He opened the system panel. Nothing looked broken, but the readings were weird. Heat was being pulled from the core too fast, like something was feeding on it. He looked at Alira. She looked guilty. "You're draining the power," he said slowly. "I didn't mean to," she said. "Your tech, it's weak. My body needs more." He stepped back. "So what happens when we run out?" Alira stood up. "I will survive. You won't." The air inside the shelter suddenly felt colder. Jacob clenched his fists. "You said you'd reward me if I protected you." She stepped closer. "And I will, if you let me bond with you." "What kind of bond?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and touched his chest over his heart. And everything stopped. No sound, no wind, just warmth. It spread from her hand like sunlight under his skin. His lungs relaxed. His fear melted. For a moment, it felt like he was floating. Then it ended. Alira stepped back, breathing harder. "That was a taste," she said. "But if I give you more, we become connected. I won't survive long without you. And you won't survive without me." Jacob stared at her. "Is that your reward?" he asked. Before she could answer, the motion alarm screamed. "Intruder detected." They both froze. Jacob crawled to the screen. A figure, no, two outside. They moved slowly through the snow. Tall and thin, with glowing armor. Alira whispered, "They found me." Jacob turned. "Who are they?" "Hunters," she said, eyes glowing brighter now. "From my world, they don't take prisoners. They'll attack the shelter. They'll burn it to the ground if they have to." Jacob's heart raced. The shelter wouldn't last long under any kind of blast. They had one thermal suit between them, and it barely fit him. He looked at her. "Can you fight?" She shook her head. "Not in this form. My heat core is unstable. I need time to charge." "How long?" She closed her eyes. "Hours." "We don't have hours," Jacob snapped. The lights flickered again, outside. The wind grew silent. Too silent. Then dash bang. The outer panel shook violently. A second bang. The door lock blinked red. One more hit and they'd break through. Alira stepped forward. "Jacob," she said softly. "Let me bond with you now. I can protect you. I'll give you heat. Enough to burn them if they touch you." His eyes widened. "I'm just human. How can I handle your power?" "You can't," she said. "Not alone, but if you trust me." She offered her hand. He hesitated. The door banged again. Lights blinked. Power dropped. Jacob grabbed her hand. The room exploded with light. Warmth flooded him. His skin glowed gold. Her skin burned bright blue. Their bodies floated slightly, feet off the ground. A humming sound filled the air like a deep heartbeat. Outside. The hunters stopped, then. Silenced out the door didn't bang again. Jacob collapsed. Alira caught him gently. "You did it," he whispered. She smiled. "No, we did." The shelter was warm, but Jacob was sweating, not from heat. From fear. Alira was watching him while he slept. Her violet eyes glowed softly in the darkness, reflecting the tiny blinking light of the heater. She didn't blink, didn't move, just stared like she didn't need rest, like something inside her was waiting. He slowly sat up, trying not to wake her, but she whispered, "Don't pretend. I don't sleep, not like humans." Jacob froze. "What, are you really?" He asked, voice low. She looked away, pulling the thermal blanket tighter around her. "I told you, I was owned, locked in a heat chamber. Until I escaped. My people call me Corburn. I am one of the few who can burn from within." Jacob tried to make sense of it. "So, you generate heat?" She looked at him. "I am heat." Before he could respond, the shelter lights flickered. Beep dash beep dash beep. Power warning. Jacob swore. The heater's core was draining faster than normal. He opened the system panel. Nothing looked broken, but the readings were weird. Heat was being pulled from the core too fast, like something was feeding on it. He looked at Alira. She looked guilty. "You're draining the power," he said slowly. "I didn't mean to," she said. "Your tech, it's weak. My body needs more." He stepped back. "So what happens?" "When we run out," Alira stood up. "I will survive. You won't." The air inside the shelter suddenly felt colder. Jacob clenched his fists. "You said you'd reward me if I protected you." She stepped closer. "And I will. If you let me. Bond with you." "What kind of bond?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and touched his chest over his heart, and everything stopped. No sound. No wind. Just warmth. It spread from her hand like sunlight under his skin. His lungs relaxed. His fear melted. For a moment, it felt like he was floating. Then it ended. Alira stepped back, breathing harder. "That was a taste," she said. "But if I give you more, we become connected. I won't survive long without you. And you won't survive without me." Jacob stared at her. "Is that your reward?" he asked. Before she could answer, the motion alarm screamed. "Intruder detected." Jacob crawled to the screen. A figure. No. Two outside. They moved slowly through the snow, tall and thin, with glowing armor. Alira whispered, "They found me." Jacob turned. "Who are they?" "Hunters," she said, eyes glowing brighter. "Now, for my world, they don't take prisoners. They'll attack the shelter. They'll burn it to the ground if they have to." Jacob's heart raced. The shelter wouldn't last long under any kind of blast. They had one thermal suit between them, and it barely fit him. He looked at her. "Can you fight?" She shook her head. "Not in this form. My heat core is unstable. I need time to charge." "How long?" She closed her eyes. "Hours." "We don't have hours," Jacob snapped. The lights flickered again. Outside, the wind grew silent. Too silent. Then dash bang. The outer panel shook violently. A second bang. The door lock blinked red. One more hit and they'd break through. Alira stepped forward. "Jacob," she said softly. "Let me bond with you now. I can protect you. I'll give you heat, enough to burn them if they touch you." His eyes widened. "I'm just human. How can I handle your power?" "You can't," she said. "Not alone. But if you trust me." She offered her hand. He hesitated. The door banged again. Lights blinked. Power dropped. Jacob grabbed her hand. The room exploded with light. Warmth flooded him. His skin glowed gold. Her skin burned bright blue. Their bodies floated slightly, feet off the ground. A humming sound filled the air like a deep heartbeat. Outside, the hunters stopped. Then Silenced at the door didn't bang again. Jacob collapsed. Alira caught him gently. "You did it," he whispered. She smiled. "No, we did." Jacob couldn't move. His body was burning from the inside, but he wasn't in pain. He was glowing. He opened his eyes slowly, and everything looked strange. The air shimmered. The walls of the shelter looked like they were pulsing. Alira stood over him, her hair floating slightly, like she was underwater. Her violet eyes were brighter than ever. "You're not dead," she said, smiling softly. "Not yet," Jacob whispered, "but I feel like I'm on fire." "You are," she said, "but it's my fire. I gave it to you. Now you're part of me." He sat up, chest rising fast. What did you do to me?" She knelt beside him. "I bonded with you. Not fully, but enough to keep you alive. Enough to make you stronger than any human has ever been." Jacob looked at his hands. They glowed faintly gold, like soft light was under his skin. "Why me?" he asked. "Because you didn't run. You saw me freezing and opened your door. That choice changed your life forever." He swallowed hard. His body still felt like heat was flowing through every vein. Outside the shelter, it was quiet. Too quiet. He crawled to the sensor screen. The two alien hunters were gone. Vanished. The snow was undisturbed, like they were never there. Jacob turned back to Alira. "What happened to them?" "They felt your fire," she said. "And they feared it. My kind doesn't fear easily." Jacob stared at her. "What are you really?" Alira stood. The blanket slipped slightly from her shoulders, revealing part of her glowing skin, but she didn't care. She wasn't cold anymore. "My people are not born like humans," she said. "We are born in cores burning chambers deep in the hearts of dead suns. We are made of heat and memory. I was the last of my generation, and they wanted to use me as fuel." Jacob shook his head slowly. "They were going to burn you like an energy source?" "Yes," she whispered, "but I escaped. I wanted to feel something other than pain, and then I met you." He stood slowly, still shaky. His voice was dry. "You said if I protect you, you'll reward me." "I did." He stepped closer. "Was this bond your reward?" Alira didn't speak. Instead, she pressed her hand against his chest. Suddenly, he felt everything. Her pain, her fear, her loneliness, all the cold nights trapped in chains, all the burning days locked inside a heat cell, her wish for freedom, her hope that anyone might care, and then her feeling when she saw him for the first time, a stranger, a human, but one who didn't look away. She had hoped. And now she was his. Jacob gasped, pulling back. His heart was racing. "You showed me everything," he whispered. "I wanted you to understand," she replied softly. "I didn't want to lie to you." He stepped forward again. "You didn't have to." There was a long silence. The wind outside picked up. Snow slammed against the shelter. Jacob suddenly smiled. "You know, I'm still freezing." Alira raised a brow. "You're literally glowing with heat, Jacob," he chuckled. "Yeah, but I mean, without you next to me, I feel cold again." She tilted her head. Then, without a word, she stepped into his arms, her body pressed against his, and he gasped again. She burned, not like fire but like sunlight in the dead of winter. Her warmth filled every space inside him. His heartbeat slowed, his breath deepened. The shelter's cold vanished. The storm outside no longer mattered. She whispered into his chest, "I can only stay like this with one person. You chose me. Now I choose you." Jacob held her tighter. "What happens next?" She looked up. "Now we run. Because this planet isn't safe, and neither is Earth." He blinked. "What?" Alira's voice turned sharp. "They'll come. For me again. And they'll come for you now too. Because they know what we are." Jacob swallowed. "We? You're not just human anymore," she said. "You're burning from within. You're something new. He stepped back, thinking. Hard, the fire in his chest, the fear in her eyes. The silent hunters. Nothing would ever be normal again. But she was warm in his arms, and somehow, that made it all worth it. Asterisk, she screamed when the bird touched her. Just a small flying creature, barely. The size of Jacob's hand had landed on her shoulder when they stepped outside the shelter. Its wings brushed her skin, and she screamed like it stabbed her. Alira dropped to her knees, her hand clutched over her collarbone. Steam rose from her body like water hitting fire. Jacob rushed to her. What happened? Her eyes were wide, afraid. I forgot this planet has life. That thing touched me. He knelt beside her, unsure what to do. It didn't bite. It didn't hurt you. Alira's voice shook. It didn't need to. I'm not like you, Jacob. My skin, my heat core. It's not meant to feel outside contact. My species can only survive one bond. One touch that doesn't burn us alive. Jacob froze. Then how are you still alive after touching me? She looked at him. You were the first one I touched who didn't kill me. The wind blew across the snow-covered hills. The sunlight was weak, barely more than a dim glow behind gray clouds. The planet remained quiet, but Jacob's mind was loud. You mean any physical contact could kill you? She nodded. Anyone else? Yes, but you? No. You're bonded now. My fire and yours are linked. That's the only reason I didn't die that night in your arms. Jacob's breath caught. So that bird, just touching you, could have burned you alive? It nearly did. He looked at the fading scorch mark on her shoulder. Her skin was already healing, but it looked raw, angry. Not just physical pain, but something deeper. How do you live like this? He asked softly. Afraid of touch? Alira stood up slowly, wrapping herself in the silver heat wrap Jacob had fashioned from emergency foil. We don't live, not really. We're kept, owned, touched only by handlers wearing thermal shields. Our lives are contracts. Our skin is currency. Jacob clenched his jaw. They treated you like an object. Yes, she said. Until you came along. They walked through the icy valley, the snow crunching under Jacob's boots. Alira floated just above the ground, her heat melting the snow beneath her before she touched it. Jacob scanned the horizon with his scope. We need shelter again, he said. The power in the old one's gone. I saw a rock ridge on the scanner. Might be a cave. Alira was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Why are you doing all this? Jacob lowered the scope. What do you mean? You could have left. Back when you found me, when the hunters came. When I told you this would get worse. Jacob stopped walking. He turned to face her. I'm not a hero, Alira. I'm just a guy trying to survive a mission. But when I saw you lying in the snow, something told me you weren't just another alien. He stepped closer. You were scared, you were freezing. And you were trying to hide it. She looked down, silent. I don't care if you burn, glow, float, or shoot fire from your hands. You needed someone. And for some crazy reason. I needed someone too. Alira blinked fast. Jacob smiled slightly. Also, you did say you'd reward me. She laughed for the first time, a short, sweet sound. I'm starting to think you're the dangerous one, human. Suddenly, the scanner beeped. Jacob snapped his head toward it. Movement. 3 contacts, behind us. Alira's face turned serious. They're here again. Jacob loaded his plasma revolver. How long until you can fight? I still need more time. My energy was used to bond with you. Then I'll hold them off. No. She stepped forward. If they touch me, I die. If they touch you now, they can absorb your heat and use it against me. Jacob didn't blink. Then I won't let them touch me. She grabbed his arm. Jacob, they don't play fair. And they don't fear killing. He looked her dead in the eyes. Good. Neither do I. Jacob didn't build the cave, but he made it feel like home. He'd found it by accident, a jagged crack beneath the ice cliffs, hidden from the scanners, untouched by the wind. The walls inside were dark and rough, but the air held stillness. Like the planet didn't know this place existed, and now, neither did the hunters. Jacob used emergency insulation to cover the entrance, solar packs to trap what little light came. But the warmth? That came from Alira. She sat in the center of the cave, cross-legged, her eyes closed, her body glowing gently. Her silver hair floated above her shoulders like it was alive. Her breath came slow and steady, and heat rippled from her skin in waves. Jacob watched her quietly. He'd seen machines power cities. He'd never seen a woman become the fire. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was rising, like a queen claiming her throne. He dropped his pack gently and placed a cup of melted ice water beside her. "I don't need to drink," she said without opening her eyes. "I know," he replied, "but I do. And I'm still trying to be polite." Alira smiled slightly and opened her eyes. "You've changed," she said. Jacob raised an eyebrow. "Showered, shaved, and haven't died in 2 days. Yeah, I'm basically a new man." "No," she said, standing up. "I mean your heat. It's stronger. Our bond is growing." Jacob stepped back. "Is that a good thing or a warning?" She walked toward him slowly. Her bare feet didn't make a sound on the cave floor. "When I first touched you, you were cold inside," she whispered. "Not your body, your soul." He looked away. "That's what war does. You get used to being alone. But now you're not," she said. He looked at her again. She stopped right in front of him. "You've become my shelter, Jacob," she whispered. "Now I want to become yours." Her hand reached out and touched his chest right over his heart. He didn't flinch. This time. The heat didn't burn. It comforted. He closed his eyes and leaned into her hand. "You're not just surviving anymore," he said. "You're glowing. I can feel it in my bones." Alira nodded. "I'm close to full strength. Soon I can protect us both." "Then why do I feel like I still need to protect you?" he asked. She hesitated. "Because once I rise, my kind will come again. Not hunters this time. Royal guards, royal," he said. "Let me guess, your people think you belong to someone." She met his eyes. "They think I belong to everyone. I was bred to warm their cities, power their ships, heal their wounds, but I only want to warm one soul now." She stepped closer and leaned into him. "Yours." Jacob's arms slowly wrapped around her. And for a long moment, the cave wasn't just a shelter. It was a promise. But peace didn't last. A sudden rumble shook the floor. Jacob stepped back. "What was that?" Alira turned toward the entrance. Then she whispered, "They found the old shelter. They'll scan the heat trail. It leads straight here." Jacob grabbed his weapon. "I'll defend this place," he said. "No," Alira said, stepping in front of him. "This time, I'll burn for you." Her body began to glow brighter, much brighter. Flames licked from her fingertips like gold ribbons. Jacob watched in awe as the cold cave became a throne room of firelight. She stood tall now, her fear replaced by strength. Her body wasn't just glowing, it was pulsing like a sun trapped in human form. "You're not hiding anymore," he said. She smiled. "I don't need to. Now that I have someone who sees me as more than just a weapon." Outside, the snow began to melt. The storm was coming. So was war. But inside the cave, the fire had already claimed its king. The cave was melting. Not from sunlight. From her. Alira wasn't sitting. She was floating just inches above the stone floor, her body glowing gold, heat waves rolling off her skin like she was made of living flame. The ice along the walls dripped, hissed, and cracked as if the planet itself couldn't handle her anymore. Jacob stood at the edge of the heat, sweat pouring from his face, but he didn't back away. He COULDN single quotes D. Whose heart was trapped somewhere between fear and fascination. "Alira," he said, shielding his eyes. Are you in control? Her eyes opened slowly, bright as twin suns. I don't know, she said. This is the first time I've ever been. Full. She touched the ground and walked toward him. The heat dropped instantly around her, steps pulling back as if bowing to her. Jacob blinked. How are you doing that? She looked at her hands. Because you're here. You're my balance now. Suddenly, her glow dimmed slightly, just enough for him to breathe normal again. She walked closer, her hair damp with heat, her skin shimmering like molten crystal. He whispered, "You're the most dangerous thing I've ever seen." She whispered back, "And you're the only one who never ran." They stood close, the air between them trembling like the moment before lightning strikes. Then her hand slid up his chest. "You kept me alive," she said. "Now let me give you something back." Jacob leaned forward, unsure if this was a kiss, a connection, or something beyond both. But before their lips met, the earth shook. Not gently. Boom. The cave entrance exploded inward. A wave of snow and light crashed in. Jacob covered Alira with his body as ice shards rained down. He turned and saw it. A soldier, but not like the hunters. This one was twice their size. Wrapped in obsidian armor, face hidden, arms glowing red. Alira's voice was ice now. "He's not here to capture me." Jacob stepped forward. "Then what?" "He's here to kill me." The armored alien raised his hand. A cannon folded from his arm, sleek, hot, deadly. Jacob raised his weapon, but Alira pulled him back. "No," she said. "Your fire is still young. If you try, you'll burn yourself out. Then what do we do?" She looked at him, eyes soft, almost sad. "We let go." Before he could ask what she meant, she kissed him, and the cave exploded with light. Not from weapons. From her. Her fire poured into him again. But this time, she gave it all. Every ounce of heat, every spark of her core, every burning memory flowed into Jacob like a second heartbeat. He gasped, falling to his knees. Alira stepped forward, body dimming, steam rising from her skin. Her voice was a whisper. "Now it's your fire too." Jacob stood slowly, his body glowing gold white, veins shining through his skin like rivers of molten light. The armored soldier fired. Jacob raised his hand, and the blast stopped in mid-air. It hovered, crackling, buzzing, and then shattered like glass. The cave trembled. Jacob walked forward, step by step. He didn't feel the cold anymore. He didn't feel fear. He was fire now. The soldier backed up slightly. Jacob raised both hands, and the floor beneath the alien cracked wide. A pulse of heat exploded upward, throwing the armored killer into the air and smashing him against the cave wall. Silence followed. Steam filled the space. Jacob stood still, chest rising, eyes blazing gold. Behind him, Alira collapsed. He caught her instantly. Her glow was gone. Hey, stay with me," he said. She smiled weakly. "You're warm now." "You gave me everything," he whispered. "I had no choice," she said. "You were the only one who made me feel like more than a tool." He held her tighter. "You're not a tool," he said. "You're the only reason I'm still alive." Her hand touched his cheek. "And now you're the only reason I'll wake up again." Her eyes closed. She went still. Jacob didn't move, but the fire inside him kept burning. Her body stopped glowing. That was the part that scared him most. Jacob had seen death before. In war, it came with blood and noise. But this was quiet. Alira lay in his arms, her skin pale, her body no longer warm. The living fire that once pulsed from her skin was gone, and still. He couldn't let go. "Wake up," he whispered. "Please." The cave around them was broken. Steam hissed from the walls. Snow and ash drifted through the shattered entrance. The armored killer was gone, burned, crushed, or maybe just smart enough to escape. Jacob didn't care. None of it mattered if she didn't open her eyes. "I didn't protect you just to lose you," he said, voice trembling. Her head rested on his chest. Still, too still. You gave me everything, he whispered. Now let me give it back. He didn't know what he was doing, but his body did. The fire she gave him, the bond inside, wasn't just warmth anymore. It was her. A living echo of Alira's spirit still flowed in his veins. He closed his eyes and placed his forehead gently against hers. Then he focused not on fighting, not on surviving, just on giving back. A spark left his chest. Then another. Tiny golden flames passed from him to her, soft, warm, slow. Until she gasped. Her eyes shot open, glowing faint violet again. She took a deep breath and her fingers curled into his shirt. Jacob pulled her close, holding her like he'd never let go. You came back, he said. She blinked fast. You brought me back. He nodded. I told you, I protect what's mine. Alira smiled, tears in her eyes. You were never mine to command, she whispered. But you became mine anyway. Jacob looked down at her. You still cold? She shook her head slowly. No. I've never felt so warm. They stayed like that, surrounded by the steam and ash. Two hearts beating in sync, one human, one not but bound by something deeper than species or survival. Outside the cave, the snowstorm had ended, and something brighter had begun. 1 week later, orbiting station Helix Alira stood at the edge of the platform, staring through the glass into open space. She wore a thin black robe now, simple, elegant, human. But she didn't need layers. Her body warmed itself now, more balanced, stable. Jacob's fire had done something even her people couldn't explain. It had changed her. Behind her, Jacob stepped in, freshly showered, wrapped in a towel, bruised from the battle, but smiling. You don't sleep much. Huh? He asked. She turned to him, her smile soft. I sleep fine. I just dream better when I'm awake. He walked up beside her. Command offered me a bonus to keep quiet about what happened, he said. Double if I agree to never speak of you. And what did you say? She asked. He shrugged. I told them I already got my reward. Alira raised an eyebrow. Oh? He stepped closer, lips brushing her ear. You, she chuckled. You humans, so dramatic. You started it, he said, offering me a reward for saving you from the cold. And did I keep my promise? She asked. He looked at her, his voice low. You didn't just warm my bed, you changed my life. They leaned into each other, no fire, no fear, just warmth. Real, human, alive. Final log entry. Private, Jacob Harlan. I came to Eroxa 9 alone. A survival mission, a test of human strength. I thought the cold would be my enemy. I was wrong. It was loneliness. And I never knew how deep it ran until someone reached out, burning, broken, and asking for warmth. Her name was Alira. She didn't just survive. She lit a fire in me that no planet, no war, no ice could ever kill. And if that's not love, then I don't know what is.